I like the idea that when something chaotic happens like this, people just start punching each other. Like,
yeah, it's true.
did you see that they were punching this like guy who was just hanging there, like literally hanging?
I do think that's
Like, why were they punching him?
I really do think that's contrary to what actually happens in real life. I mean, maybe this is a different scenario because it's something that's going to elicit far more panic. But
I've never lived through an apocalypse, so
well, we lived through COVID, and like, do you remember like standing in line at Tesco? I don't remember anyone like fighting people over the toilet paper.
Do you remember this?
and then all of Britain collectively voted completely against the interests of the NHS. Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Isn't that a funny old f***ing thing?
What is that?
I think that's a monkey or a gorilla.
No.
Your least favourite animal.
You know I'm terrified of monkeys. That is disgusting.
Oh yeah, I did forget that, and I forgot what happens at the beginning of this film.
Wait, what's going to happen?
This really is the worst film you could possibly watch.
I don't want to see that. It's already like grossing me out just looking at its limbs.
So it's strapped to a bed and it's watching the news. I forgot what the context of this. I remember what this is leading to. But I
Isn't
can't
the
remember.
virus from a monkey and the monkey's going to attack people?
I am not. I'm not at liberty to say.
I literally feel so disgusted. It's not even that like I'm terrified of monkeys. I mean, I am, but also like they just gross me out so much.
It's uncanny because they're so human-like, but also
disgusting. I'm sorry. People post those videos online. I was like, oh, look, it's a cute gorilla and it just wants to see your baby. That gorilla is not looking at my baby. That's disgusting. I'm sorry.
It's like the beginning of that Cadbury advert. Do you remember the Cadbury advert?
No, I don't, because I didn't grow up.
This actually, finally, we've got something to talk about that's related to British culture. There's a really famous advert for Cadbury's chocolate where it's a gorilla. You look so uncomfortable right now. It's a really nice advert. There's like a gorilla at like a drum set.
Why?
And what's that song? How does it go? I think it's a Phil Collins song.
I can feel it
coming in. And then when it gets to the drum bit, he goes do 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 do. Looks like that gorilla.
I don't want to see that ad.
We haven't even got to the zombies yet, and you are cowering in fear. You're literally like watching it through the cracks in your finger. That's so funny.
I think I'd rather the zombies.
Now, the worst thing would be a monkey that is also a zombie. Right?
Shut the
That would be the worst thing.
When I said about Jordan Peele's movies, there's only one that I don't like.
Oh,
and it's literally
it's the one with the
monkey.
gorilla in it.
Yeah, because it rips off the woman's face.
The chimps are infected.
Infected with what?
Rage.
I'm not a scientist myself, but what's the point of infecting a chimpanzee with rage?
Science?
But what kind of science?
Rage science.
I think it's like it's feeling rage right now. It's like
it's definitely looking angry now that we injected it with the rage.
Like, I think it worked. Like, what's the point? Why don't you infect it with kindness or something?
Damn straight. You could infect some humans with that.
One bite! Stop! You've no idea!
I love that the zombie apocalypse, and therefore the apocalypse of like the entirety of the UK, is that basically Peter broke in and like let one monkey loose.
Yeah.
And that's what caused it. And this doesn't come up at all in any of the other films, by the way. There's a blast from the past. Public telephones
And Costa Coffee.
Yeah, that's so funny. So right now he's trying to ring someone on a like a
payphone.
Is that what's called a payphone? See, I'm too young that I don't even know what it's called.
Have you ever used it?
I don't think I've ever used a payphone. I wouldn't have had any reason to, because like the payphones were being phased out when I was like, what, 10?
I think because you are from a small village and I'm from a city, like we actually used them like when people...
I'm
not trying to be passionate.
I know that you're from a small village, so you may not understand this concept called technology, but...
No. I just meant like, why would you have to? Like, you could just go back home and use your landline.
Yeah.
Because why would you be out and about? Like,
it's true.
in a village? Like,
most of the time we'd be on our tractor and we'd be plowing the field.
If you're out and about in a small village, it takes you 5 minutes to get back home. But if you're in a city and you're out and about and you don't have a mobile phone because they don't exist yet, you might have to use a payphone.
So you would have used a payphone.
Well, my mum would, and then I would put the coins in there because I
How
thought it was
interesting,
funny.
right. It's funny to me that Costa, so we can see obviously Costa in the background right here, that has survived, but a payphone hasn't. Because you'd think like in 2002, what would be more useful for civilization and society? You would assume a payphone, right? Because people don't have mobile phones. You'd think of the two things to age, it would be Costa would have gone bankrupt or something. But no, it's Costa's survived and payphones have gone. It's probably the most famous sequence from the film because, as we said in the preamble, that they've managed to get all these shots of London, of Cillian Murphy walking around London, and it's completely empty, which, of course, is you wouldn't be able to get that shot or these kind of scenes in day-to-day London because it's so busy all the time.
That's not true because after our wedding in September, we went to central London and it was completely dead.
It was dead in the sense that it wasn't busy.
Shut up.
But it wasn't like this is like completely empty, and it's shocking even that I know that they filmed this in the early morning, but it's shocking they managed to get these kinds of shots because I assume that they cut it together when they managed to find some, an appropriate time for each location. But we're going around very famous parts of London now. It's all within a sort of close proximity to each other. The fact that they managed to get it is really, really impressive. I mean, especially because outside of Big Ben and Parliament, that bridge is packed all the time, even in the early hours of the morning. So, I mean, it's amazing that they managed to get all that.
Maybe on like a Sunday or something.
Everyone was in church praying.
Yeah.
It is very reminiscent of like COVID London. I mean, I wasn't here when COVID was happening, but it like the images and stuff. I believe that there was a resurgence in popularity with this film during COVID because it is very like, it's weirdly prescient.
COVID-esque.
It's weirdly COVID-esque. That's a better way of putting it.
I know the other movie. What was that movie called? Also about like a virus. Contagion. Yeah, people were watching that, and it's just like, why are you doing that to yourself?
I guess it felt kind of cathartic, and like you could project onto it. I mean, so few things now have been made about COVID. I think there's sort of a widespread taboo against making things about COVID.
What's that channel on TV? Channel 4, is it? Who always makes like movies about.
Yeah, they always like
before they even happen.
Yeah, they did like one about Agatha Christie and things like that, which is just so ridiculous.
Also like I was thinking about with Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah, they did a Brexit film before Brexit even happened.
Yeah,
they did it about the referendum before Brexit had even like finalised, which was ridiculous.
That's what I mean.
The irony is that Cillian Murphy's character has come out of St Thomas Hospital, which is on the bridge of Westminster, and that outside of St Thomas Hospital has the COVID memorial wall where people write the names of people who they know who've died of COVID.
Yeah,
I actually went there a few days ago, and it's kind of an apt thing that's where he's come from.
Father.
Speaking of Catholic trauma,
yeah,
he's just walked into a Catholic church, and they're all obviously.
How do you know it's a Catholic church?
I presume it's a Catholic church because. Just the architecture of it looks Catholic.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah.
The windows as well.
Mama didn't raise no fool.
They died peacefully. You should be grateful.
Not grateful.
It's nice that this moment exists in this film because obviously this is a film that's very like obviously these zombies are like ravenous and rabies like they're really like they're not the slow moving one. So this is a very like fast film because of that. Yeah. And also the filmmaking style is very fast, but this is very like obviously quiet scene.
Can I also just mention that I just looked up who Danny Boyle is, and that guy has the strangest filmography ever.
Yeah, I thought this like he
did this Trainspotting.
Yeah,
then Slamdog,
and then Sunshine, which is a science fiction film,
and Steve Jobs. Oh yeah, Yesterday.
Yeah, Yesterday.
And 127 Hours.
So many of his films are really famous, really acclaimed.
But you never think that's a Danny Boyle movie.
Yeah, because he does. I think it's because he doesn't have like a consistent genre. Like he's always doing something new, which is great. That's really cool.
But I would argue that makes you a craftsman and not an artist.
How interesting! What a provocative statement.
Because if you can't tell by watching a movie who directed it.
Do you think that's an interesting?
If it's someone who has, who's made more than 2 movies, I think, then you can start seeing their style.
Yeah.
If I can't see it, because I've seen multiple of his films, never knew he directed them.
He doesn't have as consistent a style as Christopher Nolan, for instance.
I was thinking Yorgos Lanthimos as well.
Yeah.
Even Greta Gerwig, she's made like 3 films, but like the way she writes those movies, like you can tell it's a Greta Gerwig movie, even though they're completely different genres.
That makes sense, yeah.
This is where it's telling us to go. Yes, we might need 2-3 days to get up there.
We.
The dad,
Yeah.
I know he's a goner. Yeah, I just know he's gonna die.
Interesting.
He looks like someone who would die in a horror movie. And Cillian Murphy has got like beginner's luck.
Yeah.
He is quite new to all of this.
Protagonist
yeah,
shield.
she might die, and I think the kid might survive.
I really like this film because I think what I appreciate about it is how much it gets from so little budget.
I think it's like a fine movie.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
just
yeah.
like so not for me.
Yeah, I get that.
That like, it's like with rom-coms. Like I really like rom-coms, but I know they're movies.
Sure, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Now would be a really good time to plug our Letterboxd accounts.
Follow us on Letterboxd.
Go follow me on Letterboxd in particular.
Do you think they're infected?
No.
Funny for a film that blames the apocalypse on Peter to also have this scene with the horses running through the fields as if it's like nature is restoring, it's restoring back to before humans ruined everything kind of thing.
I don't think that's funny.
It's not half funny.
No, because like Peter, isn't that what they're kind of trying to do? Like, like, isn't that what they're saying? That like it's the humans who ruined everything?
Yes, I suppose. I guess they won, didn't they?
Yeah.
Just feel very lucky to have found you.
You were lucky. The fire drove hundreds of infected out of Manchester.
Is the implication that like the entire world is fine? It's just the UK?
Yeah, basically, and that's carried on into the sequels as well. That Britain has just become diseased, and everywhere else is just kind of ignoring them. Very similar to what's happening in real life.
Yeah, I was gonna say, isn't that a metaphor for what's actually happening?
I promised them women. Because women mean a future.
One of the reviews that I saw on Letterboxd said things that are worse than the zombies, and it just said men.
Well, that's, I suppose, would be the point of the film, right?
Yeah.
Often is the case with these anything to do with monsters at all. The general point that's being made is usually that the
men are the worst.
Men, I mean men in this sort of universal human sense, but also,
no, I mean it in a men.
Also,
kind of
men,
way.
the gender and sex. Yeah. When you really think about it, how much of a threat have the zombies been in this film? Like to the main four,
not really.
Obviously, the dad character died, but then the other three, the only threat to them now is other human beings, which of course is the point.
The dad dies, but it's not even because he was attacked by zombies. It was just a coincidence, like a really terrible, sad coincidence.
Do you think he saw us this time?
Be unnecessary.
What?
All the logos.
It is like that Family Guy joke.
Always, I don't know the Family Guy.
The Family Guy, like, I mean, I don't really watch Family Guy, but like, there's like a, this has done the rounds a few times where like they're watching a film in the theater, and the film, you keep thinking the film is starting because it's like a guy like covered in blood or something, like breaking into a house, and you're like, oh well, the film's starting now, and then it's like guy breaking into a house covered in blood films, and it's like that's the logo, and it's like, what? When is the film going to start? And it's like 10 different logo things like that.
It's honestly true because it's like, why do we need to know about all of these companies? Can you not just credit them at the end of the movie? Like, who gives a shit? I'm not going to remember this.
Surely they would be better, like in films like from the 1950s, to do the credits at the beginning, so you know like who the actors are. Then you can actually focus on the artists, and then afterwards you do the admin-y stuff of like it was this company.
Are you going to cook?
Your favourite?
What again?
So from what I understand, they just go from house to house, kind of like traveling.
Yeah,
they don't stay in the same place too long because obviously the zombies are kind of scary and really fast in this movie.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to say that if they have to save the food, it's a bit stupid to make that much pasta.
Good point.
It was an entire pot.
I think this is like something you said in the last episode where it's like, what really is the point now? If you're,
I don't understand it.
Why not just find a nice gun somewhere and just die in a really like painless way?
I don't even think you have to be that dramatic about it. You can just go into a car and like do something with like the exhausts and stuff like that.
I'm far too stupid to understand how to do that.
Oh, I forgot it was set in the early 2000s because I was like, just Google it. Like,
Google it.
Living at that time, they would probably know how to kill themselves because it was so depressing.
What do you mean?
Living in the early 2000s.
What was so depressing about that?
9/11.
But aside from 9/11. But like, unless you're
the
like...
economy crash.
Yeah, in 2008. But this film...
Yeah, but they could sense it.
The zombies could feel the subprime mortgage loan disaster.
Are actually just a metaphor for that.
It is probably a metaphor for 9/11. Oh my God, that's your toe. What the f***? That scared the f*** out of me.
Why?
You were moving around on the sofa as we were watching it, and I felt your toe touch me, and I was like, what the f*** is that? That was scarier than the film's going to be. I'm sure.
My toes are not that disgusting.
They're not disgusting, but it was weird to have that. We were talking about fucking the 2008 financial crisis, watching a zombie film, and then suddenly I felt something on my leg that was sort of like moving around like fucking.
I wonder what that could be, considering I'm sat next to
I
you
thought it was like
with
some
my
sort of-
legs up.
I pictured like a massive bug
That's
on my
scary.
leg.
I promise you, if we ever are in this situation, I'm going to kill you.
I'll not if I kill you first.
Okay, let's do it at the same time.
Listen, they're far, far away.
Famous last words.
Yeah.
They're far, far away. We're safe and sound.
Not interrupting, am I?
That is so boring already, and it's only like 2.5 minutes.
Give the filmmaker a fucking chance. It's been 2 minutes.
I
You and your
just-
TikTok rotted brain. You're like,
I do.
where's the Subway Surfer thing at the bottom of the screen? How am I supposed to pay attention to this?
I keep pressing the screen in the right top corner, and it won't go any faster.
It won't scroll to the next one.
No, it's like you can make it faster, like double speed.
I didn't even know that. Who needs? Oh my god, this is why we're all fucking doomed. Who needs a TikTok to go faster than it already is?
Sometimes when a TikTok is like 3 minutes long, but the story is interesting, I just listen to it on double speed. I know.
One day, the nature of the free market is such that, like, you know, someone will see that there's an audience or an appetite for something, and they'll make it. They're gonna make fucking TikTok, but it's like it's 4 times the speed of a normal TikTok, and we'll just keep descending like that until we literally just see like a flash of light on a screen, and that's our like.
In my defense, I am a very fast reader as well.
Ah.
Because I got to the point where I don't hear the voice in my head. I just look at the words and I just go.
Oh! I thought you meant like like a voice in your head, like you know, like multiple personalities.
No. When you
I finally stopped the voices in my head.
When you read, you can hear the words in your head.
Yeah.
I don't do that anymore.
How does that work?
It's like you can train yourself to read really fast.
I love how this episode will have nothing to do with 28 weeks later.
Because I feel like zombies are always a metaphor for something, so we might as well.
It's a metaphor for
other
TikTok
things.
in this.
Could I request our listeners to please request something nice? Like, give me like a rom-com or something, please. I will have so much to say about Bridget Jones.
Someone please, for Natalia's mental health, do Scooby-Doo meets the Loch Ness Monster or whatever the fuck it was called.
Oh my god, please. Just one person. Like, if one person says they want me to do it, like, I know so much about Scooby-Doo. It's actually ridiculous.
That would be a good, nice bit of Scooby-Doo canon. Not that that has anything really to do with being British, but like...
But it's set in Scotland.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're Scottish in this movie.
Yeah.
I kind of don't want you to press play. If I was watching it by myself, I would skip.
Because it's scary.
Yeah. Uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I don't like old people dying. I hate an old person sacrificing themselves.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Oh, actually made me want to cry.
Haven't died yet.
I feel like it's like that bit in The Traitors when James is like, just go without me, and he's throwing up.
The Traitor? Oh, right. I was wondering who the fuck you were talking about then. I was like, what? James? You have to listen to our Traitors episode for that to make sense. Bit annoying that like the guy sacrificed himself for the older woman, and then she was just like
Too slow.
waiting there going, no, don't do it, and then just 5 seconds before like her like, you know, her time limit, she was like, oh, now I'm gonna try and escape.
And then she goes, help me, kind of makes the other guy feel guilty about
So
not being
what's
able to help
what's
her.
that guy gonna do?
Also, it's annoying about this guy because he could have escaped.
Yeah, it's true.
Honestly, how big is this house? Because it feels like they're running for ages. That would not work in our flat. It'd be like a 1 second long shot of me running.
That's why the sequel couldn't be set in London, because like you know,
No one owns a big
no one
house.
has a house like this. If you had a house like this, it'd be owned by some like insanely rich person. So like you'd be like, oh, I want the zombies to eat them.
I have to keep pausing, actually, not because I have something to say, but it's just too intense for me to
Really?
watch. Yeah.
Help us!
I hate this scene, and the music. That music actually always makes me feel a bit uneasy as well because of the scene. Because I've seen this scene so many times on TikTok.
Yeah.
I just can't help it, but like I always kind of watch it.
Yeah.
It's like he's trying to save you,
He ran all that way up
and
to
also
save her.
I'm sorry, like I am never on the man's side, right? But he actually did everything he could. We don't know actually. Maybe you can correct. I mean, don't correct me because we'll see all of the movies, but like. We don't know if the zombies are conscious or not.
Yeah.
Because maybe they can still they remember who they were, but they just can't control it.
Yeah. Well, obviously the word zombie is never used.
No.
So as far as we know,
It's just infected.
it is like an actual virus that like just makes you really fucking angry or something. And that's
Kind of like rabies, I guess.
Yeah. So like maybe they're still in there. I don't know. I mean, that's a horrible like concept, obviously.
They're just really fucking annoyed.
But yeah, I mean, the guy in this circumstance, if you're not watching the scene right now and you're just listening to this, the zombie is in between him and his wife and the kid, and he is like behind a door. The only option he has is to die or close the door. Like that's literally the only two options that he has, and I think that is what is part of the reason that this scene is so viral is that he like it. If we were in that situation, we have to think like, do we want to die in this really horrific way, but not betray our principles and betray the sort of loyalty that we have to our spouse? Or would we rather survive? And like, obviously neither of those two options are particularly good, right? That's what's so investing in this scene. I think it's really like, I think it's brave to do this right at the start, because at the moment we can see the time on our screen as we're watching this. It's about 8.5 minutes, right?
Yeah, and again, like 3 minutes of that was just the titles.
Yeah.
So
I think that like, it reminds me a bit, this scene, of the first scene in Scream, with Drew Barrymore.
Oh yeah, when you think that the movie's going to be about her.
Yeah, you think Drew Barrymore is the main character, and then she just dies. And that's like meant to be like, no, anyone can die, even the main character could die. You've got this group of people who you would assume would be fleshed out throughout the film.
Yeah.
Right? And that we would be following this like ragtag group of people, because they're people of all different, ages, dispositions, backgrounds, but they all just get killed off immediately. And you're like, no,
Except for the guy. Yeah.
Except for the guy, which obviously we haven't got to, but you've seen the scene before.
Yeah.
They all get killed off immediately, and you're like, no, anyone can die at any moment. You think these are the main characters, it's not. And I appreciate that from a storytelling perspective.
You saw that I was tearing up with the old people dying.
Yeah,
and we
yeah.
literally just met them like 10 seconds ago.
Yeah.
But it still made me sad.
Well, you get a really, like, the amount of dialogue that each character has, especially if you exclude the Scottish guy and his wife, they get something like 2-3 lines, but you do get a good picture of who they are as people.
Yeah.
The younger man is obviously like a no-nonsense, gonna rip the Band-Aid off kind of person. The woman who's missing her boyfriend, who's like waiting, she's obviously disconnected from reality, from the reality they're in. The old people, obviously, like, they are very nice, sociable people that have been forced into this. They're chatty, they're nice, despite the fact that obviously this horrendous thing is going on.
Yeah.
And then the Scottish guy is like a pragmatist. He is a nice guy, he's a decent guy, but he is very practical about the fact that like he can't possibly let this kid in. And that's part of what's so investing in this, and what is often so investing in zombies, that because the zombies themselves don't have any personality, what you're really playing with is the moral quandary of, if you were in this situation, what you would do.
I was never into zombies.
I've never really been into zombies. The only reason we're doing this literally is because someone recommended it for the podcast.
Do you remember when, like, after Twilight, people were trying to make money and they would just write a book and make a movie with any of the monsters of the love interest? And there was I don't remember what it was called, but there was one with Nicholas Hoult, and he was playing the zombie guy. He fell in love with a girl, Teresa Palmer, I think it was.
Like I Zombie or something? Or am I thinking of something else?
But there was something like that.
I do know what you're saying, yeah.
That is the most British reaction I've ever seen.
Everyone's dead. I'm the only survivor. Had to abandon my wife. Shit. Fuck. This is a bloody inconvenience, isn't it?
Oh, bloody hell.
Oh, Christ.
I could really do with a cuppa.
Bollocks.
Having seen this scene before, people in the comments assumed that he left his child and his wife.
Yeah.
Not knowing that obviously he met the child like a minute ago.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of explains a lot, because I'm not saying that it's like okay to leave a child, because I'm sure he would have tried to save all of them.
Well, he did. I mean, he tried to save the guy, the bloke on the boat as well.
Like, but that's my point. Like, he would have, like, he would have done his best, like he did, right?
Yeah.
But so it's like difficult to judge him, for me at least, and also like he's going to have like really bad survival guilt,
Yeah.
Because like he's literally the only one who survived that.
It's crazy.
The zombies just need to chill.
It's a really good opening scene.
Yeah.
And this is the only, for the record, this is like the only thing that this film is really remembered for. So, what you think and what I think.
Can we just stop watching it then? No.
I mean, it kind of works as a short film, doesn't it? It kind of works as a short film. But yeah, press play.
All right. people in London are not respecting the rule that you stand on the right and walk on the left on the escalators.
That would be the end of the world.
Yeah, it actually would be terrible.
Green and brown. Interesting iris variation.
Honestly, what is this film going to be about?
I know, yeah, you're right. The film has the conflict has been resolved because
in the first 15 minutes.
Yeah, because there are no zombies left, right? I mean, not
that we know of.
Not to spoil anything.
There
but,
will be zombies.
It's a zombie film, right? But like,
I have a feeling it's the kid.
The kid that just went in.
Yeah.
The film. Yeah, maybe.
We stopped, like, there was a pause looking at his eyes for a bit too long.
He's got zombie eyes.
You know what they say about those zombie eyes.
It's bad enough that the UK's collapsed because of a zombie apocalypse, but now they've got to ride the DLR.
I know, and they
couldn't even get
London.
Couldn't even get the Lizzie line working back up. I suppose it wouldn't have been in place by then, but
no.
What would have been the best? Because right now, most people
Jubilee?
from London, they would say that the Elizabeth line is like the best
Jubilee,
line.
surely.
I guess Jubilee,
but
at
I don't
the
know
time,
what year Jubilee was like.
underrated
creative.
tube line, Overground.
Overground is great.
It's a pretty peak tube line.
Those are his kids.
Yeah, so those are his kids. So his kids have been outside of the UK while this is going on. Lucky
Why
them.
on earth were the kids? Oh, they were just randomly outside.
Yeah,
of the
yeah,
UK.
I believe that's the implication.
That just so happened that they were outside of the UK.
But they obviously don't know what happened with their
I know.
mum.
Imagine being like, "Oh wow, it's Dad. Dad, where's Mum?"
Was there nothing you could do?
Do you think if there was something he could have done, he wouldn't have? No, I just didn't like your mum, and I thought it'd be easier to just let her die instead of getting a divorce. Like, what do you think?
I do remember because I liked this film when I watched it for the first time, but I do happen to remember that one of the things that I thought was really frustrating about it is that the kids are dumb as fucking shit. Like, they are dumb as a pile of rocks.
Literally, like, surely, like, it's better for you to be a half orphan instead of
a full orphan,
right? It's like better that you have your dad.
Yeah.
Because like they're tight. Like he's 12, isn't he?
Yeah, something like
She's
that.
probably like 16.
Yeah,
I don't know, maybe 17. Like they still need a parent. You know?
Yeah.
You should have told Dad. It's fine. Trust me. They won't even know we're gone.
So at this point in the film, the kids are like going outside of the safety zone because they're a bunch of morons. This is exactly what I said before. That like, I mean, again, this isn't really going to be a spoiler because obviously this has something to do with something, right? It's why we were being shown it. But like, this plot can only continue if these two children in particular are really, really stupid. And I know this is a trite thing to say when you're watching a horror film, but like, if the characters are doing things that are so astronomically stupid and like also not what kids would do, I don't think. Like, I know kids obviously are rebellious.
Can I just add to that? I feel like maybe the 12-year-old boy, because he's still quite young, maybe he would not think it's that big of a deal.
Sure.
But her being like 16, 17 and like a young woman, she would be like, you absolute idiot. Like, you know, we already lost our mum.
And it's not like they've been sheltered from all this and they're like, oh, it can't be that bad. They've established that they've been in survivor camps and like things like that, like waiting around with a big group of people. Like, they know how precarious their safety is. I simply don't believe that anyone, I don't even think the kid, like the 12-year-old kid, would be this stupid, let alone certainly the teenager.
Could they not run in the safety zone?
And also, like, if you're a kid and you've done something, like, if you were out in London, and you were a kid and for some reason you weren't supposed to be there and you were like running through the streets, you wouldn't be like, yeah, whoa, London, yeah, whoa. Like, that's like peak like adult writing children that doesn't understand how children act, you know? I don't think kids would be like this in and of itself would, running in a dilapidated street would not be that exciting.
Let's go.
Oh my fucking God. To get a fucking helmet so they can go on a scooter.
Surely
She literally just picked up the helmet.
Surely like obviously wear a helmet, you know, good for, you know, the safety of your head and stuff. But like, surely in the middle of a zombie apocalypse,
there are worse things to worry about.
Looking at dead bodies, like, surely they'd be like getting some sort of a disease or something, or like, you know, reactivating the zombies is way more dangerous to your health than like tripping on a scooter or whatever.
Imagine also putting on that helmet after she took it off the head of a dead guy.
Yeah. That's so great.
There were maggots there. I don't understand what she was expecting to see in the part of London that was not cleared
Yeah, like what is the joy as a kid of a kid running through London that looks like this and is like this?
They were like, oh, this is what we need, pointing at 2 scooters, and then she was like, wait here, and she walked into a pizzeria, and I'm just like, what do you think you're gonna find there?
Yeah.
Like what it is that you're looking for, and now she's got this like really miserable look on her face, and she's just like, oh no, there's a dead body here. Yeah, what were you expecting?
Yeah.
Like a piñata or something? Like, I just don't understand the logic, and I think that kind of shows bad writing here.
Yeah, the character work which is weird because, as I said, like in the introduction, that opening scene is so effective, and part of the reason is that you get such a good view of what these characters are like through literally like 2 lines of dialogue each. Whereas here we've got 2 kids that like you could in theory develop the whole film around, and they're so unsympathetic because they're so stupid. And I promise you, this is not the end of their stupidity in this film. I don't usually care. Like, I'm not like someone who watches a film and is like, there's a plot hole and the film has lost 7 points.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not. I'm not.
You are.
I'm so not. Like, what matters is how.
So not. I'm so not.
I'm not.
My name's Mickey Mouse.
What matters is the whole piece and the whole effect it is trying to give you as an audience member. But if characters are acting so monumentally stupid that you can't sympathize with them, then it does lose that. Like, you can have characters making irrational decisions and still make them sympathetic, like the 2 older people at the beginning of the film. They made irrational decisions, but they were still sympathetic because you could understand why someone in that situation would do that, right? Not these 2 kids. So, in case you're not watching it, like, the soldiers are surrounding the house now because they've noticed, obviously, that the kids are gone. Why have they chosen now to...
Why did they follow them to that house, but they not, like... They didn't catch them before?
Yeah, I think it's something about the horror genre...
It makes people really dumb.
It's like, more so than any other genre, it seems to make people really dumb. I think because there's obviously so much more of an aggressive threat in a horror film usually. So like, if you are a character in that film or that book or whatever, the one thing that you would absolutely not do is approach that aggressive threat. You would avoid it. You would run away. And so it seems less authentic in a film like this when characters are running towards that aggressive threat, especially if there are no extenuating circumstances.
I shouldn't have run away. I'm scared.
So in the film, the Scottish guy's wife, has been found alive. She has been kept in a maximum security facility. He has somehow managed to break in without any witness, any guard preventing him from doing it. And he has kissed her.
On the lips.
Even though he knows and has seen the zombies in this film and in this universe, the virus passes through liquid, through secretions, passing from one zombie to a normal human. This, I think, again, just speaks to the fact that the characters in this film, and I know this is a really trite thing to say in a horror film or like any sort of criticism of a horror film, but like, these characters are so stupid.
Yeah.
And the only reason that anything in this film happens is because of how stupid they are. It's very frustrating. I think this is the reason why this film is not as acclaimed as the first one. Because even if you didn't like the first one, or it's not your kind of cup of tea or whatever, like, the characters do not act that stupid.
No, even the bad characters, the evil ones in the first one, they're not dumb.
Yeah.
You know?
They have a logic that you can understand even if you don't agree with it. Whereas this is a logic that you can't even fucking understand.
Execute Code Red.
The implication now is that he's escaped from where his wife was, where he killed her now that he's infected, and that he's going around doing the same thing to a bunch of soldiers. But how the hell did he get in and out of that secure facility?
How did they not shoot him yet?
Yeah, I just don't get it.
I don't believe it.
It's all logic has collapsed and gone out the window, and now there's no way you can really be invested in what's going on.
Please be on the lookout for a young boy, age 12, name Andy.
If I was just a survivor living in that Canary Wharf bit, I'd be so pissed off with the children.
Yeah, the one act of stupidity has like killed everyone. It's not one act of stupidity.
It was multiple acts.
Multiple acts of stupidity by multiple people led to the deaths of all of these other people.
But what I really enjoyed is the scene when the wife and husband kiss and there's a close-up on their salivas mixing.
Yeah.
Like there's like a string of saliva coming from his mouth.
Do you get it? Do you get it?
It's like
he's gonna be a
literally,
zombie.
I feel like the filmmakers also didn't just assume that their characters are stupid, but they also assume that the audiences are really stupid, and just kind of over-explain everything, whether visually or like audibly.
Yeah,
but, like,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
always just like a bit over-explained, and you're just like, no, I've been watching it for 50 minutes, like I get it.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Also, this is a really small point. So small, I might not even include this in the episode, but like, they know that some zombies are around, right?
Yeah.
Going to kill people. They need to lock down. What are they doing? Switching off all the lights.
Yeah.
But they won't be able to see who the fucking zombie is then. Like,
That's
surely
a
that's
good point,
surely
actually.
that's the last thing you want to do. What benefit does it do to shut all the lights off so everyone's like, oh my god, I literally could be standing next to a zombie right now and I wouldn't know.
They're like, oh well, the zombies are gonna be confused, but so will you. Like literally,
It will
like,
confuse them because it's such a stupid decision that they'll be like, why have they made such a stupid decision? That will confuse them and we'll get the upper hand. So right now they're in the film. They're trying to escape to a place to get picked up by a helicopter that's going to escape them from London and the zombies. And they have the containment zone was within Canary Wharf.
like Isle of Dogs, they said, didn't
And
they?
they haven't been going for very long. They've been walking for like, I don't know.
And they said they had 4 minutes, and all of a sudden they're at Millennium Bridge.
Yeah, they're at Millennium Bridge now, which is like near St Paul's Cathedral, which if you're not from London, that's like roughly near where Parliament is in Westminster. So it's like how did it? It's always in films and TV shows that they'll like depict London like this, where like all of the famous bits are like a 2-minute walk away from everywhere
They
else.
just hopped
But,
on
like,
the tube, you know.
there's no way that they walked from Canary Wharf to effectively Westminster in this time. There's just no way.
It's also
All got killed by the zombies.
there's also half an hour left, and I honestly don't know what else they can do.
It was really weird because the first half of this film went by. I found it went by
Yeah.
so fast, and
It's dragging.
it's just dragging now because obviously, I think the most of this film is predicated on the stupidity of like 3 characters who are now not sympathetic, and like the rest of the film is like, will these stupid characters who caused all these people to die going to survive? It's like, I don't care that they live or die.
I hope they die.
I want them to die. Like that's not like, you know, that's not engaging as a film. Nowhere near as engaging as the first one, in my opinion. I think it's really cool that the original film, like one of the things that was so famous about it is how many shots they got of Cillian Murphy walking around a dilapidated London with no cars, no tourists, no people going to work. And in this film, they've got, if you can't see the video, the car that they're driving to escape is going around all of these very famous parts of London, like Westminster and outside 10 Downing Street. I think that's really, really cool that they've got that, like, the spirit of that has kept on. I wonder how they shot it. Like, how did they afford to have
Probably
the bit
really early.
Maybe
in the
something
morning,
like
or
that.
they closed off that road.
Because it was
bit.
like, this is more like, I think the first film was more impressive because it had such a low budget, whereas this has got a more inflated budget.
You can't tell watching it.
Yeah, you can't really tell with a lot of stuff, but you can kind of tell in the sense that like driving a car outside 10 Downing Street is without any other cars around.
Yeah.
You know, driving normally, or buses, to block off that bit of road to do that.
Who would have been the Prime Minister at the time?
2007, so it would have been Gordon Brown.
A real person?
Is Gordon Brown a real person?
Never heard of him before.
Have you not?
I've literally never heard the name Gordon Brown.
Well, I guess this is why we have a podcast called Learning British, or Learning
was
British.
Was he a Conservative?
No, he was Labour.
Really? He sounds like he would be a Conservative.
But living under him felt like you were labouring.
Can I see his face?
You were labouring under a delusion.
Can I see his face?
Yes, I'm showing you a face on my phone. I'm showing you a face on my phone. I'm showing you the face of Gordon Brown on my phone, specifically. Gordon Brown, texture like sun.
Oh, because everyone always forgets about him, because it's Tony Blair, and then you just assume it's David Cameron next.
No, Gordon Brown kind of got parachuted
Is that him
in.
now? Jesus Christ, what happened?
Listen, he got old. I mean, he's like 74. Like, that's not an unreasonable looking man for 74.
Don't know.
Maybe he's haggard with all the guilt from the Iraq War.
He is from Giffnock.
He's a bit of a gift knock, if you catch my drift. Just for fun, how many prime ministers can you name? Let's like make it less easy. Let's say like from Tony Blair backwards. Like, who was the prime minister before Tony Blair?
No idea. No idea. No idea. No idea. Margaret Thatcher. No idea. No idea. No idea.
To be clear,
No idea.
you didn't really get that right because it's Tony Blair, then it's John Major, then it's Margaret Thatcher. So it's not like there weren't that many other prime ministers before Margaret Thatcher. Did you know Winston Churchill was against women's right to vote?
Of course he was.
You'd be speaking German if it wasn't Rem. I said to you while we were watching this, you wouldn't have heard this in the podcast. But people who are listening to this podcast, you won't have heard this. But I said, there's a bit that you'll really like, right? Where are they shooting that right now?
Yeah, like South Bank, near the IMAX.
It's funny because like they were just driving past 10 Downing Street. So this is what would have to...
How the hell would they get there like that?
This is what would have had to have happened for this to make sense. They drove past 10 Downing Street, past Trafalgar Square, and they would have gone up to Aldwych. Once they got to Aldwych, they go across the street then towards the IMAX and then turn off...
Like a very sharp left.
Down into the BFI. Very...
That makes no sense to go there as well.
I love London geography in films. It makes no sense whatsoever. But it's cool that it's filmed outside the BFI, my favourite place in the world.
She literally just drove into a tube station and then realised that there's no way out. And she goes, shit.
Also, what tube station? I mean, I obviously, I get, I'm being somewhat facetious.
I mean, the nearest one would be Waterloo, but it doesn't look like Waterloo.
No.
Maybe it's Southwark.
Maybe
somehow it's the Southwark station.
I assume that, when they're driving past the IMAX theatre, it's not, literally the IMAX theatre in reality, right? It's not, based in the geography of London. They've come up with a fictitious tube station, right? But I do like the idea that, they've gone on this ludicrously elaborate drive to escape the zombies that they don't need to expend all this time to go on this ridiculous route to get to the BFI IMAX and then somehow manage to find a tube station which would be way far away from where they are now.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
I love London geography and films. Isn't it what's that TV show?
He works at the Royal Holloway, which is basically west of London. It's not even in London. He lives in South Kensington, but he goes to his university. He walks there through Shoreditch, which is East London, and South Kensington is West London. So he goes to East London. He goes from west to east to then go more west. And he says, "Oh, but in a city like London, you don't mind." It would have taken him 9 hours to walk, and he says that he does it every day after work.
Just a short 9-hour round trip.
They're just one way. They needed someone on that team who lives in London to be that's ridiculous.
It's so funny. Also, just use Citymapper once. So you just
even Google Maps.
Just Google it. Yeah. It's so it's funny. I love it. It makes me laugh so much every time I see it in films. Things like this.
Come on. Get in.
So in this film, the two characters are the least sympathetic, which are the two kids who caused this to happen because of their complete wanton stupidity. They're the only two characters that survive. These are the only two characters I wanted to die, not to survive.
How did it get to Paris?
Eurostar.
That was my joke. He made me pause it, and he made me say this line.
And I sniped your joke away from you. It wouldn't have got to Paris on the Eurostar because Britain notoriously cannot get trains to run anywhere on time.
Leaving from London on the Eurostar, I've never experienced a delay. Whereas leaving from France, there's always a delay.
It's because they know we're British and they're like,
they're like, this will show them.
This will show them. What do you know about the Teletubbies?
Funny you shall ask.
Funny you shall ask.
Is that not how you say it?
No, you say funny you should ask. Funny you shall ask.
Well, I just made it a bit more proper, so I don't know what your problem is. I really liked the Teletubbies when I was little. And I had one Teletubby story on VHS. And it was the one where they watch each other's bellies and there's a movie in the belly.
Go on.
And it was about kids going on a train.
I thought this was going to be some sort of, I don't know, some lost media or something. You know, you see those YouTube videos about lost SpongeBob episodes that are graphic and disgusting.
No, but it was quite meta, wasn't it? Because it was like a movie within a TV show.
That was quite postmodern for children's media in
Absolutely.
the early 2000s or whatever.
What was your favourite Teletubby?
Tinky Winky.
I was going to say, I already know that, but for the sake of our listeners.
I'm a big Tinky Winky head.
I liked Lala the most.
Dad?
Kids are usually the scary element of a horror movie.
Like the kids themselves are scary, or like the things.
The kids themselves are scary.
Exorcist,
Um,
Damien.
Shining.
Child is like an image of innocence and like
that's
no
why-
corruption. That's why it's scary when they're like possessed or some.
Yeah, that's
thing
why
happens.
horror makers are like, oh, let's subvert this, and just like all of them do it. So it's like not really.
Yeah. I forgot how ominous this introduction is. That we're just like, obviously we're sat down ready for a zombie apocalypse film, and it's just a bunch of kids watching the Teletubbies, and you think, oh my god, something really terrible is going to happen to these poor
The
kids.
Teletubbies kind of give like Uncanny
Zombies.
Valley, like.
Yeah. I think that's also part of the point as
Yeah.
well, isn't it? I think that's just a very it's a thing that we've got used to in films where you take children's media that the audience presumably would have grown up watching and add it into a weird context, and that automatically makes it discomforting.
Uneasy. It's been 28 years. Have they not come up with like?
No, I think
an
this
answer?
is set during the initial 2002
Oh,
event. Like it's not happening again.
do you know what? That makes sense because why would they be watching the Teletubbies?
Imagine if it happened again. It'd be like in Home Alone 2, it's like how the hell did they forget this kid again? It's like how did this happen again?
I like the pigeon lady. Anyway,
So scared, Dad. I know my sister will be dead.
Oh no, son. Not dead. Saved.
What is it with the Catholic religious imagery in these films? It's like, I mean, obviously the second one didn't really have much, but like the first one, you have that bit where Cillian Murphy is going into St. Paul's Cathedral.
funny you should ask. All right, about this Catholic thing.
Yeah.
It's because, well, I am, if you don't know, I was raised Catholic, which means that I am full of Catholic guilt, even though I don't really participate in this charade anymore.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it is, because a lot of people in the Western world were raised either Catholic or at least Christian. Catholics in particular, because but they love to, put the guilt on the people. And exactly the same as you said with the imagery of like children in a horror movie. Church should be like a safe haven, right? Because you should not be judged there. Like you should feel safe. But it doesn't feel that way. It makes you feel uneasy when you see it in a horror movie.
Nominally, I was raised Protestant, but I wasn't really raised in a particularly religious household at all. But I understand that from the many Catholics I know, or people who are raised Catholic, that there is way more guilt, it seems.
I mean, they literally tell you that you are born with I don't remember what it's called in English, but like this...
Original sin?
Original sin.
Yeah.
So basically, your only fault is being born.
Right.
And you already have to basically like confess and like be christened to get rid of this.
Yeah.
For some reason, horror movies made in the early 2000s scare me more. I just watched this and I'm like, lol.
Maybe the reason that you find early 2000s horror films scarier is because the video quality is lower, so there's a certain like amount of grain and stuff that
It kind of gives like found footage a bit more.
Yeah,
Do you
it
know
does
what I mean?
now.
Like,
Obviously, when we were growing up watching that, it wasn't at the time, but now in retrospect, it kind of like looks like that. I've heard that people often find or found films that were on VHS to be a lot scarier than DVD because, of course, you watch a horror film now and it's in crisp, 4K resolution or whatever. There is something less scary about that. And I agree with you because I find the first film I find scary. I wouldn't say that I was like particularly scared, but I found it scary. I found the second one also, especially the first scene.
Oh, that
first
scene
sequence.
was scary. That's true.
That's
I forgot
scary.
about that scene.
Whereas I agree with you. I mean, this isn't really like a point against the film or anything,
no.
but like it isn't as scary. I find it, the whole Teletubbies conceit right at the beginning, I found that quite disturbing.
Disturbing, but not like...
Not as scary as the first two.
But thinking about it a bit more, it's like The Exorcist is still one of the scariest movie ever made, even though it's like from the 70s.
Yeah.
But, I think it's people have grown a bit more immune to horror movies as well.
Yeah.
Because we've seen a lot of things.
Yeah.
Not me
that's true as well.
in particular, because I don't like horror movies.
Well, a lot of us, I remember growing up, when I was like 11, 12, like people would show me on their phones like videos of people being executed by ISIS. And like that was like,
Jesus.
That, genuinely, I mean, maybe that's just a boy thing. I don't know.
I mean, I think that's a like Gloucestershire thing.
We did that there was nothing else to do aside from riding our tractors and go plough the fields. No, but like I remember this.
But do you remember that YouTube video? That is just like a car driving, and it's like,
yes, I do remember that.
You know exactly.
I know exactly what you're talking about. That was all the rage back then.
For the young people, it's just like there's a jump scare.
What were we talking about, by the way?
I don't know, but I was gonna say that I bet no one expected to hear about Barbie in this episode.
Barbie. Well, when were we talking about Barbie?
Well, I'm about to.
Oh. Foreshadowing. Yeah.
Was it subtle foreshadowing? So I was going to say that growing up, I was obsessed with the Barbie animations.
Yeah.
The OG ones. No from like after 2011, okay?
None of this fake Margot Robbie shit.
Oh, I love that one. But anyway, like I'm a purist, right?
Yeah.
So like Barbie and the Nutcracker, Barbie as Rapunzel.
Yeah.
Those kind of ones, right? And I thought they were incredible, and I thought the animation was beautiful. I sometimes watch them when you don't look. Because
I walk in and you're watching it and you switch to porn because you're like, I was just watching porn.
I swear. But the quality is so bad.
Yeah.
But obviously when they came out, I thought it was amazing.
Yeah.
But it was on VHS as well.
That's why the original Barbie animations were so scary. They were so terrifying back in the day.
There is something spooky about them walking. And the ones who know.
It's like hoodwinked style animation.
Oh, kinda. Like, honestly, I love hoodwinked.
I wish there was something British in that.
I'm sure there is.
Someone
please find a connection.
This is what I want our audience to do, is to find reasons for us to review things that definitely do not qualify for this podcast, and yet we want to watch them, like Twilight or The Hunger Games.
If there is anyone British who was cast in the movie or was like a member of the crew, it counts.
We should just call this the Tangent Podcast, because this is what we do. We just go on random tangents.
We've watched 4 minutes and 5 seconds of this movie. Why do we always blame the continental Europe for everything?
So, for context, right now, it's there's text on the screen if you're not watching this. It says that the virus was driven back from continental Europe. That's a reference to the end of the second one where it gets to Paris. So,
yeah, I know, but it was your fault, British people. You got it there. Like,
wasn't it the fault of those two kids?
Yeah, who were
British.
British. Yeah, they were British.
England. Look, if it harmed the French, I'm all for it.
Anyway, but I think
this is all just good humour, really.
I think they hate the Brits just
British
as much. So
it's great. We hate them. They hate us.
Speaking
it's like a perfect. It's like two opposing sides of a magnet. You know, it's just perfect.
It's your big day, Spike. What do you guess?
Let me guess. The dad is the kid who escaped.
I don't know.
Well, I'm telling you.
Well, I have seen this film, so I do know. But like for the purposes of when we're watching this, I'm just going to... whenever you ask me any question, I'm going to be like, I don't know.
I didn't ask a question, did I? I just stated something.
Stated bare facts.
Thinking about this movie and all of the movies in the franchise, I'm quite impressed with how we managed to deal with COVID.
Like us as a society?
Yeah.
The glass half full way of looking back at COVID is to think that most people in most countries around the world really did decide and were willing to make their lives a little bit worse for the protection of, you know, older people, compromised people. I think we're losing that, that grit. We're losing that determination and that willingness to do stuff like that. Partly because we were so willing to make our lives worse for the protection of others, right? That it made a serious chunk of the population go absolutely fucking insane. That's almost an optimistic view, right? That, you know, the podcast bros of the world hunkered down initially, and the only reason that we're now getting these weird, like, crazy conspiracy theories around COVID and China is because of the fact that we initially were doing the right thing. Right now, it's on a shot of a bunch of sheep. And coming from the Forest of Dean near Wales, that is actually, that genuinely, the sight of a horde of sheep is a rather nostalgic image for me. So this is set in the Scottish Highlands, and for some reason they've got a St. George's Cross there. I don't know what that is suggesting.
Nationalism.
Maybe. I mean, did this come out when the whole Raise the Flags thing was going on? I mean, it probably came out roughly around the time, right? 2025. All of time in politics has just kind of merged into one, so I can't even really remember, but it wouldn't have been made with that in mind, right?
Why am I feeling so hot? It's just the weather, Mum.
Prediction. The I think you're not allowed to see crazy anymore.
Or the woke police will come knocking.
The confused mum.
Yeah.
I think she's going to be like, I have a vision. I have a vision. And then she's going to see something and everyone's going to be like, she's crazy. She's insane. And she's
I predict the next film is going to flop.
So the implication is that it's been 28 years and we went back to the Middle Ages, apparently.
It's a bit like World War II in a sense. Like you get that sort of lack of technology, but like you've still got institutions. Like there was a post office, for instance, I saw.
But my point is like the technology that we had before the rage virus did not disappear.
Yeah, but it was only 2002, so there wouldn't have been smartphones.
No, but I'm not saying that about like TV or radio or something like that, you know?
Well, they might still have that, but I would guess that...
Oh my God, they don't know what AI is.
Must be
That's
nice.
so nice.
Must be nice.
Oh my God, they don't get like PTSD when they hear the iPhone like ringtone.
Yeah. It's the first one felt reminiscent of COVID. I mean, obviously that was like sort of like obviously that's retrospective because it wasn't. They obviously didn't know what COVID was before then. This to me, the whole like the flag waving in the distance and people cheering on like young lads going off onto these dangerous missions and stuff. Yeah. This feels very very reminiscent of World War II. And of course, in British culture, British people understand what I mean when I say this. But the Americans, like obviously World War II is a major component, but I don't think people abroad maybe recognise just how essential it is to our national character thinking about World War II because it was such a monumental moment. And this idea, it motivates so much stupidity in our political discourse now. People are like...
People in Poland wouldn't understand, you know...
What do you mean?
What it means.
No.
The Second World War.
No. That's not what I mean.
They would have no idea.
That's not what I mean. Obviously, every country has something to do with World War II in their national identity. What I mean is the way it has manifested in Britain is this idea of like we're this tiny little island against the world and we managed to stand up to Hitler and stuff like that.
Is that why you still eat like the Nazis are over you?
I think that's why we get into so many bad political decisions now. Because do you remember when Brexit was happening and there was this like...
Oh yeah, I do.
Comment, yeah, I'm sure you did as a Polish immigrant. But like there was this like common theme of like, oh well, we beat the Nazis, we can leave Europe and it'll be fine. And it's like that, like why would you inflict pain upon yourself? I think it's just this feeling of like that we have in British culture because of World War II that we're like, oh, we can do anything, we can do whatever we want. And of course that's nonsense. I think that's what this is kind of parodying in a sense.
Moving up and down again. There's no discharge in the wall.
That's interesting because that poem that's in the film right now, that was in the trailer for this. I remember when that came out, this was like a big deal that it was being reincorporated into it in this obviously incredibly creepy way. Again, I said the World War II stuff as I was watching this. I have seen the film before, so of course I know what happens, but it's sort of only just coming back to me. But it is interesting that they use a war poem. This is obviously what the film is going for. Like, this isn't just me like verbalizing nonsense.
We're doing this.
Can't go back now, Dad.
Why?
Everyone will think I'm soft.
That, again, that's aside from the fact that we've just seen footage of what I presume is World War I or World War II, that sentiment really speaks to like what it would have been like as a young man going off to war, and you're like, well, do you actually want to do this? So like, well, everyone's going to think I'm a coward if I don't.
My prediction for the movie,
it's
actually fine outside of the island.
It's like The Village. It's like
kind of like The
Village, where it's like that would be brilliant.
My parents went, because my dad loves The Sixth Sense.
Yeah.
They took all of their friends to go and see The Village at the cinema.
Yeah.
And it was so bad that my dad was just like apologizing to everyone.
Really? I actually quite like The Village.
Of course you do.
I love M. Night Shyamalan's films. Of course I do. You're from one. You know?
Oh, no, I didn't even think
I watched it and I was like, oh, I know about that.
Represent.
Yeah, track days. One of the things that's made clear in the second film is that the zombies can starve to death. And obviously it's been 28 years later. Britain has been evacuated. There are presumably like a handful of survivors on the mainland after those two kids just killed everyone in the second one.
But where would they be evacuated to if like they got to Paris as well?
Well, yeah, they would. They wouldn't be evacuated. The little text thing at the beginning suggests that like the entire world has quarantined the UK.
But
probably quite rightly.
Yeah, you should be quarantined.
Should have done after Brexit.
Not fast doesn't mean they aren't dangerous.
What the hell was that thing?
That's me when I get up in the morning. Like crawling on my hands and knees. Me when I haven't had my coffee in the morning. Well, bit boomer cartoon humor.
No, it's not. It's millennial. But coffee first.
Epic bacon.
Oh, why did you do it?
Do you remember like Icon has cheeseburger? I'm doing the thing.
I'm doing the thing.
I'm doing the thing.
Yeah. It's funny to think about it, but it's cringe when they still do it.
Do you know what's funny is that so many people seem to think that that I'm a millennial. I'm actually Gen Z.
Are you talking about your mum saying,
yeah,
all right, millennials?
Yeah, I'll say so. Like my mum will say something obviously boomer-esque, and then
your mum's not a boomer. Your mum is Gen X.
Is she?
Yeah, she's not a boomer.
Well, that's ironic because she seems boomer, and obviously to her, I see millennial.
Wait, am I just saying the same things?
No, Gen X is different. Gen X is definitely different. But yeah, no, I'll say something, and then she'll be like, "Oh, so millennial of you," and it's like, no, it's actually quite Gen Z of me, in fact.
Oh, Gen Y is millennials.
So confusing.
I know, but yeah, she said she called us millennials the other day, and I was like, "Excuse me."
I'm not a millennial. I've never pretended that I like bacon more than is like reasonable or normal.
You just liked it, but when you ate meat, but like
I just liked it the normal amount as a processed meat.
You never had a T-shirt saying "but bacon first."
Yeah. I'm enjoying this so far. I think I said in the preamble that when I watched this for the first time, I wasn't that hot on it. I think I just really like Danny Boyle's style.
It's not a really hot movie.
What do you mean? It's like
it's
cold.
not sexy.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's definitely not a sexy film. No, anything directed by Baz Luhrmann's a sexy.
I was gonna say Moulin Rouge.
Yeah. Oh my god, Elvis is a sex. Watching Elvis felt like I was having sex.
Jesus,
I was actually having sex at the time in the cinema while I was watching it, but that's beside the point.
That's funny.
Thanks. That was a bit too. That was a bit too structured as a joke for something I would do. Usually I would just make some sort of amusing sound.
It's just the fact that you looked at me smiling after you said it.
I was so happy with that bit.
That just like a little baby showing their mum like they're painting or something.
That's a very like not going out kind of joke. It's not really quite my style, but
no,
you know.
But you tried it. I
tried it out. Yeah. Back to like I don't know what other jokes do I make?
I don't know, but you look really shy now. But you're doing well.
I don't need your encouragement.
It's waiting. Alphas aren't like the others.
Prediction: they're gonna be late. The dad and the kid, they're gonna be late.
And they won't be able to get across.
Yeah.
Interesting. You're full of predictions, are you?
Yeah, because when you have seen enough movies, it's kind of like they follow a similar formula, and it's just kind of like it's very difficult to be very original.
Can I know this is, for long-time listeners, this will be a very, like, repeated point, so I'm sorry for repeating myself from last week, but isn't it funny that all this is happening now because of those two f***ing kids from the second one? Those two stupid fucking kids did all this because in the second one they'd solved the problem. They all starved, and then they re-released the virus, and now apparently these people aren't starving anymore.
Yeah, because the mum would have died. She would have starved to death. Like, anyway,
still annoys me. Those two stupid kids.
But when you think about it even more, it's not even the kid's fault. It was Peter.
It was Peter's fault. Yeah. Every time you say that, I think like Peter from like Family Guy. I keep thinking of Lois going, Peter!
See, you think that? I think
Lois.
Peter from the Hunger Games.
I'm really sorry, Dad.
What about?
It's all my fault.
I find horror movies so annoying.
Yeah.
Because, like, we talked about it before, like, the characters in horror movies, they just always do the wrong thing. Because they have to, because otherwise the movie would end at, like, 20 minutes.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So I just find it quite difficult to sympathize with a character in a horror movie because I'm like, well, you did it to yourself.
I see.
You know?
Do you feel that these two characters are making any like stupid decisions right now?
I think it was a stupid decision to let the kid go with them and for the kid to agree to go. And again, I understand it's that pressure that you don't want to be seen as a coward, right? And you want to prove yourself. I get that, but I think it was stupid.
This is, we talked about this in the second film. You can have characters in films and in works of narrative art that make stupid decisions, but what matters is that we understand why they're making these decisions and that the stupid decisions that are being made are decisions that real people could actually make in real life.
Yeah.
So like in the second film, for instance, the two kids make decisions that are so monumentally stupid and
You don't get them. You don't understand
it's
why.
self-inflicted. It feels like they are doing it deliberately. And the adult in that as well, when he sneaks past security to see his wife, even though he knows that she's infected.
Yeah.
Or
And he kisses her.
the
like,
security,
yeah.
the security apparatus know that she is very dangerous. They shouldn't be letting anyone in.
Yeah.
And somehow he manages to sneak in as if it's nothing, right? Those are decisions that are so stupid and actions that are so stupid that it defies any sort of logic or understanding. Whereas in this, it's true that the kid should not have gone to this onto mainland Britain while this invasion is going on by the rage virus zombies. That is a stupid decision. But I understand why how old is he? 14, 13?
Something like that.
I understand why a kid at this age would feel that peer pressure, especially when it's established or implied that his dad is kind of a big name on this island because he is someone who is brave enough to go onto the mainland and do all this stuff. I get why this kid would be pressured to do this. And so I do care about this kid, right? And I do care about this dad in ways that I didn't care about the two kids and the dad in the last one.
I couldn't hit anything.
What are you talking about?
I tried, but I was too scared.
It's interesting how the kid, this Spike, is struggling to shoot the zombies. It's you or them, and he's still hesitating.
Yeah, and I think it's something about the culture of this island and necessity that it's made men like Spike's dad into killing machines because they have to be to survive. Yeah. Whereas he, obviously being a kid and being somewhat sheltered on this island away from the mainland, obviously he needs to come to learn that it's either him or them.
Run, Spike! Run!
That is one dedicated zombie, man.
Spike is really pissing me off.
Why? Because he fell.
I can't, Dad. No.
I'd much rather be eaten to death by this zombie.
And become one of them. Yeah.
Also, the sky is so beautiful in this scene. Like, you obviously can't see this if you're just listening to the podcast. The special effects on the sky are so weirdly beautiful in a way that has never been. I've never seen this in a 28 Days Later film before, because obviously the 28 Days Later films are so gritty and I wouldn't say realistic, but like it's meant to be gory, right? This is, despite the fact there's obviously a very tense scene and this horrible zombie is like chasing them, like it just looks beautiful in this really like unique way for this film series. See, it got you. You can enjoy a horror film sometimes.
40 minutes in, like, what else is gonna happen? Like,
yeah, I mean,
for God's sake.
That was actually one of the things I really liked about the first time. As I say, I'm enjoying it the second time a bit more, but the first time around, I did appreciate the fact that you think that what the film is going to be is that they get abandoned on the mainland, right? As you said, and you said it, and I thought this is going to be perfect for when this, it is subverted, I suppose. But like, you would assume, based on your knowledge of horror films you've seen before, or zombie films, that of course what the plot's going to be is that they get stuck on the mainland, they need to survive. It's a dad and his son. But actually, we've now, like, it feels like the conflict has almost resolved itself because they've got back safely,
and
right?
I think for the last hour, they're just going to be enjoying their time on the island.
They're going to be doing little jigs and little, drinking at the pub and stuff.
What I enjoy about this one is that, like, again, even the woman being like, wait, that's like something that you would do if you were that guard, if that was your responsibility.
The people are intelligent again.
Exactly.
Like in the first one, like I felt like even if you didn't like the first one for whatever reason, the characters do things that you understand why they're doing it. Even the horrible characters, you understand why they're doing it, right? And
I mean, I didn't really understand why the men were trying to rape the women.
I mean, like,
I'm joking.
Obviously, when I say understand, like I'm using that in a very broad sense of understand. Like I understand that there are people in the world that are like
evil
this.
like that.
Yeah, but it's not like. It's not like, to labour the point again, it's not like the two kids from the second one where it's like no one exists that is this stupid and willing to, self-inflict pain on themselves.
Even kids, I think.
Yeah. Exactly.
Especially who, like, anyway, that was the second movie we were discussing.
You listened to last week's episode for that.
Just to add to what you said about that, like, his dad had to become like basically a killing machine.
Yeah.
I feel like it's also made him like more laddie, like, like this kind of like, he's just like stood in the pub now telling stories. And he's making it sound like he was not scared.
Yeah.
Because obviously I think that's a man thing.
Yeah, definitely.
And he's like exaggerating it as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
For like, well, to make it sound better. And the kid is just like still terrified, still kind of wants to kind of recover from it, I guess. And the dad is just like, yeah, so many of them, 8 infected coming at us, but we, and it's just like a completely different story to what we just saw.
Yeah, it sounds very jingoistic, like the way that he's describing this thing that has happened. It feels like
it was so easy for him to escape.
It sounds almost like a war story, which again I think is the point of the film. This is a good film. This is a good film.
I'm eating up my words. It's not about.
I'm eating up my words. Hum, nom, nom, nom.
Is that not what?
I don't think that's a saying, but that makes sense as a saying.
It makes sense.
I don't think it is a saying, but you've kind of invented a saying.
I've invented a saying.
I'm eating up my words.
Wait, what does eat up my words mean? Be forced to retract something one has said. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right, fair enough.
I did not invent anything.
I retract my sarcasm. I've had to eat up my words.
Yeah, there we go.
So right now he's set a shed on fire so as to create an emergency and be able to sneak his mum off to see this doctor that they're talking about, who's played by Ralph Fiennes. Again, I think this is arguable, but I do think that I understand why this kid is acting in this way. Like it's not like the second film where the kids act in such like ludicrous ways. Like I understand why a kid who is worried about their mother dying would do something like this, although it's obviously not, it's not the most logical thing to do in the world.
He's risking his life and he's risking his mum's life, and his mum is not, what's the word? She's not aware of what's happening, so she can't make her own decision about it.
Yes. And so as an audience member, we look at this and say, this isn't exactly the most logical thing a character could do in this situation, but equally, I understand why a panicked boy who is worried about his mum dying would do something like this.
I checked that he is in the next movie, the kid, so I know that he doesn't die, but like...
Well, he could be his body, could be like a flashback.
Yeah, definitely he would be like the second listed character, like if it's just his...
Well, why did you spoil it for yourself, you dip?
I think it would be a spoiler, just looking at the next movie.
Okay. Well, you don't know that.
No signal.
What's that?
Soon it's a brick, but... for a few more moments, it's something like a radio.
I wonder how much culture has changed in the rest of the world, knowing what is happening in Britain and knowing that Britain is quarantined, and that presumably all the developments in British culture since 2002 have ground to a screeching halt. The way that this character, who's Swedish, he's a Swedish soldier who's been obviously stationed in this quarantine part of Britain, the way he describes it almost makes it sound like everything is exactly the same as it is now. Right, with all the other countries in the world like Sweden and America and so forth. So it's just interesting because this is a film that's very much about culture and cultural malaise, and it's about what happens in society when culture is forced to stop because of a sort of a disaster like the zombie apocalypse. But I don't know how much development that gets. Maybe in the next one, perhaps, I don't know. But I don't recall that there's much development on that idea in this particular one.
Spike, wait!
Mom, what are you doing?
So what we're seeing now is one of the infected women giving birth, which first of all makes me wonder, did she get infected when she was pregnant? No, I guess she got pregnant when she was infected.
Must have done so, right? Maybe it's like I Am Legend, where the point is that that it's a new form of life that I guess has just as much right to exist as humanity. I don't think that really tracks with what we've seen of these films thus
when
far.
They just keep going and trying to kill you. I don't know about that, I just can't believe because what we're seeing is like one of the infected women giving birth. I knew that would happen. In the previous scene, we saw her like taking a bath in the river.
Yeah.
And I was like, she's going to give birth. And the mum, she's literally just like, let me help you. And it's just like, I guess like, wow, nice womanhood, but also, are you insane? Like,
are you not a feminist?
There's going to be blood. There's going to be blood.
Are you a sexist?
Yes, actually, no. But when the blood comes out, obviously it's going to get everywhere.
Yeah.
It might infect her.
Yeah. I think I think this has a built-in explanation, which is that she's clearly has some sort of illness or disease or some kind of condition that makes her less inclined to understand the severity of what's going on around her.
Yes, absolutely.
So I think it makes sense.
No, it does. It's just like my point is that it's insane.
Yeah.
Do you know the words memento mori? It means remember death.
I do like this film more than I did the first time, and I am enjoying this, and I do think it is a good film, but one of the things I didn't like about it the first time was that while I appreciate that the film is not predictable in the sense that what we talked about earlier, where you think it's going to be about his dad and him getting lost on the mainland, having to fight to survive, and it turns out that's not what the film's going to be about, and it is instead about him trying to find a cure for his mother, while I appreciate that is a subversion, and I also appreciate the kind of beauty and the poetry of that story, I still kind of feel like it's off the point. Like it feels like the first half of the film is one film, and then the second half of the film is an entirely different one.
I feel that way too, and I would add that the pacing has changed completely as well of the movie. This is a bit more chill.
Yeah.
I think this part of the movie is a bit more chill, and it's like I've kind of mentally clocked out.
I get that. And again, like I say, I do genuinely like this film, but another thing that I didn't care for the first time around, and that I also kind of feel like is true of this time around as well, a lot of people said to me when this film came out that what this film is about is what happens to culture when an apocalyptic scenario like this happens. I do find that interesting, and I think that's really cool when it comes to British culture, because obviously since 2002 a lot has changed in British culture, like Brexit and the war in Ukraine, the Queen dying.
The war in Ukraine is a massive thing in British culture.
Well, it is. It is. I mean, when you think about like Boris Johnson's response to it, and
True, actually,
obviously we have more Ukrainian immigrants and refugees in this country now. It is a big change for British culture. I just don't feel like this film actually is about that, essentially, or it's only paying lip service to that idea. Obviously, the film doesn't have to be about that. It can be about whatever it wants to be. And the first half was about the relationship between a father and son, and now the second half is about a son trying to save his mother from a illness during an apocalyptic scenario like this. That's fine. It's fine that this is what the film wants to be about, but it feels more like, again, the first half is one film and the second half is another film, and they're both good, but I don't think it's stitched together in quite the same way as, say, the first film was. Like, the first film, it does change massively in the second half, and that feels like a natural extension of the first half. To me, this doesn't feel like a natural extension of the first half.
The doctor can't make me better, but he can help.
It is a very beautiful sequence when the mother is dying and he puts her skull at the top of the bone temple. It's just that, for me, again, I have this like niggling feeling in the back of my head that this isn't really what the film is about. Like, was this film about remembering that we die and understanding our own mortality? I don't really feel like it was. I thought that the first half is about how situations like this, existential threats like war, in this case a zombie apocalypse, can ossify culture and turn people colder and harder than they are in reality. And you have that parallel with the way that British culture perhaps ossified in times of crisis like World War I, World War II, COVID.
Yeah.
And I thought that I really enjoyed that. That was the first half. And then the second half is about, a son trying to save his mother. And I like the conclusion that he isn't able to do it. I like the fact that obviously that he just has to accept that his mother is going to die. I like that, but to me, it just feels like it's from a different film. It feels like this is not what the film has been about. Spike bringing his mother onto the island, that should have happened within the first half an hour, say, and then we build up, because I don't feel like I really know the mother's character. Like, I know who his dad is. I know who he is. I know who he is. But aside from the fact that his mother is ill and loves her son, I don't really feel like I know much about her.
No, me neither. And it's sad, like the scene, but also like I don't feel that devastated because I feel like I didn't really know her. And also, like you said, that it feels like it's about two different movies, and I agree with that. But then also in the mixture, in the middle of it, you have that moment of connection between his mother and Isla and the infected woman giving birth.
Yeah.
So you also have that bit of like what we discussed before, like of them being like, oh, maybe they're just like a new kind of humans and they should all cohabit or something like that. You get a flicker of that. So it's like a very confused movie, I think.
Yeah, it's about a lot of really interesting things. And I think it's a very interesting film, and I think it looks fantastic. And the death sequence when his mother is dying, genuinely, I think it looks beautiful and it's very emotionally evocative. But I didn't really feel it to the extent that I think it was going for, because I just didn't feel like I knew who the mother was, and I didn't feel like this is what the film has been about.
Hello?
My name's Jimmy.
Okay, so that is the end of the film. So the bit that just happened there, if you can't see the video or you haven't seen the film, Spike has gotten cornered by a horde of zombies, and this guy who looks like Jimmy Savile is joined by a number of other people who also all look like Jimmy Savile, and they help save Spike. So that is the end that we were talking about at the beginning when we said that the ending is shocking. Now, obviously, most people listening to this will be British, so you'll know instantly what I mean when I say Jimmy Savile. But in case there's any foreign listeners or listeners from America...
Sorry, that was going to be my point. That I feel like perhaps not everyone, even in Poland, would have known.
Yeah.
When I moved to the UK, I didn't know who Jimmy Savile was.
Yeah.
It was my colleagues from my cinema job who told me. And then they had to explain to me what a nonce was.
So Jimmy Savile was a very famous and beloved children's TV presenter who the rest of the country found out after his death was in fact a notorious nonce, which is the slang term for and he was a really terrible man. He did a lot of terrible, awful things in his life. And so obviously now his memory is sullied by that, and he is kind of like the prototypical example of a disgraced old celebrity. The implication of the end of this film is that because the rage virus happens in 2002 and obviously destroys and decimates Britain and British culture, we don't, or the people in this reality do not come to find out who Jimmy Savile was as a person. He presumably dies in the rage virus along with everyone else.
Yeah.
So this character, who is meant to be an aged up version of the child at the beginning of the film, has designed his...
Oh, is that supposed to be the kid from the beginning?
Yeah, he's the kid from the beginning who's running away in the church. The implication is that obviously he was a child when that happened, and so his like gang of zombie killers, they are all designed after and they're all like dressed as Jimmy Savile, because that kid would have understood Jimmy Savile to be a beloved children's TV presenter.
Like a hero in a way.
Yeah. Which obviously is a really shocking ending. I mean, for one thing, it is a bit like we've talked about, where it feels like it's in a different film, right? It kind of comes out of nowhere. This is why it's impossible to predict that this is what the ending is going to be. But secondly, it's incredibly brave because, one, as you've noted, a lot of people who are watching this film are not going to know who Jimmy Savile is.
Yeah.
And the only reason that like I know what this ending means, and I knew what it meant when I watched it in the cinema, is like he doesn't come out and say this, right?
No.
He calls himself Jimmy because the kid was called Jimmy, and he's obviously been influenced by the appearance of Jimmy Savile as he would have understood Jimmy Savile to look like. I understand what the ending is implying because he looks very much like this horrible man. And obviously, we talk about Jimmy Savile a lot in British culture because he is the preeminent example of a disgraced British celebrity. He is probably the number one most infamous disgraced British celebrity.
Jimmy Savile was only after he died, which is so so frustrating that he never faced any consequences.
The fact that they've ended on a bunch of characters who are obviously going to be set up in the sequel being dressed up as Jimmy Savile is an insane decision because, like, why would you do that, right?
It feels so random, but like at the same time, when you think about it, it makes sense because, like you explained, like the kid wouldn't have known what we know.
I like the idea that because all British culture stopped after 2002, that these fucked up people have designed themselves after Jimmy Savile. And it's incredibly disturbing because, of course, these are the characters that are going to be in the next one. But it's just such a, as I say, I keep using the word brave. It is a brave decision because I would not, personally, if I was writing this film or directing it, I would not have had the gusto to do this because it's very uncomfortable. Jimmy Savile is an uncomfortable facet and element of British culture. So to do that and then set that up for the sequel and that to be the last sort of taste in your mouth as you're watching this film is brave.
Are you watching, Father? Master.
So that's the guy from the end of the last film, which means that this probably is the first... No, not probably. This is the first 28 Days Later film where the introduction isn't set before the rage virus. Because all the other ones, the introduction is set before it happens.
It is also the first film in this series, I believe, where this movie is set straight after the ending of the previous one.
Fucking get him. Go on.
Not that this has anything to do with the quality, but I would imagine that anyone that hasn't seen 28 Years Later, the first one that isn't Bone Temple, that this would be an incredibly confusing introduction. Because obviously we've jumped straight into the middle of this scene of them all surrounding him. They all look like Jimmy Savile.
If you're a British viewer seeing this and you've not seen the previous one, and you see a kid surrounded by Jimmy Savile lookalikes,
yeah,
you might be a bit uncomfortable.
Interesting decision. Obviously, it's always better to have seen like the first film before you see the sequel. 28 Weeks Later works as its own film, independent from 28 Days Later.
This is the only one in the series of 4 where I think you might be a bit confused if you haven't seen the previous one.
Very
the third
true.
One.
It's interesting that the title, as presented just now, is just the Bone Temple. It doesn't have that 28 Years Later beginning tag.
Do you not think it's because it's got a bit old now?
As I said in the preamble, there was a great title just sitting there, which was 29 Years Later. But like no one knows what the Bone Temple is. The only way you know what
do you mean? Everyone knows. Everyone who's seen the previous one knows what the Bone Temple is.
Yeah, but I guess my point is like you think that they would want people that haven't just seen the last film to want to watch this because you've already got established a high ceiling or low ceiling.
They would want people to watch the previous one before.
I think people are sick of things like that, like sick of. I think people have caught on to
have the Marvel.
Yeah, the Marvelitis, where it's like they try and make you do homework.
I named you for your size and strength and hair.
I still really like the idea that like this is happening in the UK, but the rest of the world just kind of they don't give a shit.
Yeah, they're just like, yeah, that's their problem to deal with.
It's like that one weird cousin that we all have, and when there's like a family reunion or like a family party or something, you know, and you bring your other half there, you're just like, oh no, that's just my cousin, like Bob, like don't mind him, and he's just there in the corner, like, whoa. Do you think people in this universe just kind of like in the UK just kind of forgot about 9/11? This is so much worse.
I saw a tweet that was like, do you think that like in the 28 Days Later universe that 9/11 is
as big of a
deal? Because it's like surely like the complete destruction of the UK ended up being a little bit more relevant. Yeah, I mean I think I said this in the last episode, but it's interesting to imagine how culture has responded to all of Britain collapsing, because presumably there are a lot of people outside of the UK who had British relatives who died exactly as the kids. You know how the kids in the second film, 28 Weeks Later, they were outside of the UK when all that happened and they only rejoined later on. It's just interesting to think what kind of books have people written about this? What kind of movies have they made?
Who do you think would be the most likely director to make a movie about this?
I'd say Danny Boyle, but he'd probably have been dead. How interesting. That was a really cool little detail. So
but thank you for pausing in the worst possible way.
There was so what we just saw was like what the alpha
you're the alpha.
Yeah, like what the alpha was saying, and the alpha sees a human being in the same way that we see them, which is to say like ugly and disgusting. That's really interesting. I quite really like that.
But isn't it setting up for the whole thing of like in that Will Smith movie?
Yeah,
I Am Legend, right?
Yeah.
But like they're just the new kind of humans. I think they talked about that in the previous one as well, no?
I think we discussed this briefly.
Oh, maybe we discussed it as well. Okay. I don't know why I said it like that.
No, well, yeah, the book I Am Legend, not so much the film, but the book. The point is that the version of Will Smith's character in the original book, he discovers that to the zombies that he is the monster. That's obviously the point, and it's like a new form of life. I guess that is literally what is happening in this as well. Nia DaCosta has done a really good job of using only what we can see like as a film, because if you're just listening to this section, you won't have seen that there was no real dialogue in that sequence, and yet we saw pretty perfectly well like what kind of past Dr. Kelson had. She managed to do that without any dialogue.
I wonder if you understand anything I say.
I do think that I haven't read I Am Legend, by the way, so I don't know to what extent that this is the case. But I do find the whole sentiment of maybe we're the real monsters to be a little bit like, you know, makes you think we live in a society kind of a bit vacuous.
Insists on itself. You know?
I'm okay with it in this film. As I say, I think she's doing a really good job with it so far. But I do think it's a little bit, like, just in abstract, I find it a little bit pretentious. But as to how this will materialize in the actual story itself, we shall see. I think this film, like the last one, feels like two films that are competing for time, because
you're right.
Like, I forgot in this.
I was about to say, I forgot about the Jimmies.
Yeah. I forgot about that. I forgot about Spike. Already I forgot about that because we're now with Dr. Kelson.
And I don't care about the Jimmies.
Yeah, I care about Dr. Kelson. I would prefer this to be what the film is about. I think that's really cool. I like the idea that we're following a man who is entirely on his own. He's the only human being on this island. I mean, it's very I Am Legend in that sense, because I'm pretty sure that the book is about basically the last human being left alive after this zombie apocalypse. That's kind of what this film is so far.
If they wanted to kind of combine the two, they could have had Spike stay with him and just kind of like train to be a doctor or something.
Yeah.
Brought in and nourished in both stomach and heart.
When this film jumps back to the Jimmies, I kind of forget what's happening with Dr. Kelson, and when it jumps back to Dr. Kelson, I kind of forget what's happening with the Jimmies. That makes sense? I think it just plays to the fact that, again, there's so many... I mean, there are a lot of interesting concepts in this film, and there are a lot of interesting concepts in the previous film as well, but this one especially seems to highlight the issue that I had with the first 28 years later film, which is that there are too many things going on and there are too many characters that are entirely disconnected from one another. And it's especially compounded in this one because, at least in the previous one, 28 years later, these ideas were being introduced for the first time, and there was an expectation that it was going to be developed, obviously, in this film. This film is so reliant on the kind of exposition of the last one that it feels like we've jumped into the action between these two completely separate storylines. I just don't really feel like they merge very well together. I personally, as much as I was excited, as I explained in last week's episode, to see what was going to happen with the Jimmies and that whole conceit that they're all basically cosplaying as the worst criminal, or one of the worst criminals in British history, as much as I was interested in that, I am finding myself drawn more to Dr. Kelson's story. I find that to be actually more interesting. But every time that we jump away back to the Jimmies, it feels like I'm being ripped away from that.
Yeah, I agree with that. It kind of feels like we're watching, like, the narratives, there are two separate narratives. And even though we have the understanding that, like, it's happening at the same time, it's almost like if you picture a piece of paper and you draw two lines, what's the word? Perpendicular? They'll never meet.
Yeah.
You know, because it's just all happening at the same time, but it's not really, there's no connection between them.
I want you to have lasting peace, Samson.
He is basically like the dog in I Am Legend, like the film I Am Legend.
Who
like
is like the
Samson is like the dog.
Samson.
And Ralph Fiennes' character is a bit like Will Smith's character in that. Because I'm sure that even if Nia DaCosta or the people that wrote the screenplay for this film, even if they're not deliberately trying to parallel the book, that it clearly is accidentally, probably because the I Am Legend, the book, is so influential. But like, I think this is an accidental parallel to the film that just to kind of amuse me.
But how many, zombie movies are there, and how many zombie stories can possibly be made? I guess.
The first film, 28 Days Later, retrospectively, was kind of understood almost like an allegory for COVID. I mean, obviously, they didn't know about COVID at the time. They didn't know about the 2020 lockdown and pandemic. But it gained extra cultural cachet because of all the scenes of sort of empty London and empty Westminster, which obviously was replicated in 2020 when COVID happened. Ralph Fiennes' character being entirely isolated from any other human being and sort of stuffed and forced into this claustrophobic environment where he can only understand human connection through his memories, that feels very much like lockdown. I imagine it would have felt like lockdown for a lot of people, especially people that were on their own who had to lock down and quarantine on their own.
Oh God, I can't imagine going through lockdown, like living alone.
I was lucky that I was initially living with friends at the beginning of 2020, and then when the pandemic was getting worse, I moved back in with my parents. So I had social connections to rely on during that time. Whereas I think there was obviously there were people that were a lot less lucky than that. This just reminds me very much of Isolation.
Take me with you.
I'm surprised that this film has not been more about Spike. I mean, we're about halfway through the film, and Spike isn't really a character in this. I mean, like, obviously, we've the main action that Spike has taken in this film is abandoning them while they're murdering these people. So, you would assume, having watched the last film, that they were setting up Spike to be one of the main characters in this one, but really the main character outside of Dr. Kelson and what's going on in his storyline is the person who's playing the lead, Jimmy, in their gang.
When I see Ralph Fiennes, what's his name here? Dr.
Kelson.
Dr. Kelson, when I see him, I care about his character. Then I see this, and I completely forget about Dr. Kelson, but I don't care about this group.
I would agree with you. I mean, I know that obviously that is the point, that the characters are villains, and so with the exception maybe of Spike, who we know from the last film, we don't care about this gang in the sense that we want them to be safe. Obviously, if anything, we want them all to die. But in terms of like caring about what's going on, I really care about what's going on with Dr. Kelson and with Samson. I think that is a really, really good idea. I think it's really cool. I think actually you said this in one of the previous episodes, I can't remember which.
If it's smart, then I said it,
about how you were wondering whether they would establish what it's like from the zombies' perspective, and we are getting a bit of that. We're getting that insight in this film. I don't mind seeing acts of cruelty depicted in a film, and obviously a lot of really horrible things are happening right now in the film, which I've probably edited around. So it's probably whatever you're experiencing watching this is probably significantly less worse than the experience of actually watching it.
You're welcome.
But it's not so much about, at least for me, it's not so much about that graphic violence. I'm fine with the graphic violence. There's a lot of graphic violence in the previous ones. It's just that I find this a lot less interesting than what's going on with Dr. Kelson.
Because
this feels more like
you don't care about them.
This feels more inspired by something like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is to say there's a lot of wanton cruelty on display. I really like that film, but that film is about the acts of wanton cruelty, whereas this feels more like this part is a distraction from the really interesting part, which is what's happening with Ralph Fiennes.
Did you notice that Samson's eyes are not as red?
Yes, and also whoever the actor is who's playing Samson, I think he's done a very good job of making his physicality more human as it's gone along.
Yeah.
Or maybe that's partly the makeup team, because you can definitely tell that
maybe
Samson's
all of them,
well, probably it would be all of them, I suppose, to a certain extent. But they've done a very good job of showing him become more human.
Behold, you are the fingers of my right hand.
I think the film has become a lot clearer now that they've actually met and storylines are entwining, that we have Dr. Kelson and Sir Jimmy meeting. I also really like the dialogue that Dr. Kelson has. Like, you can tell he's a really affable bloke. I think that this has come a bit too late in the story. I think that it should have been entwined earlier on. And I also whenever we cut away from Dr. Kelson, I keep you know that Simpsons joke about when Homer is playing Poochie in the Itchy and Scratchy show? He says to the producers, when Poochie's not on screen, all the other characters should be like, where's Poochie? And I feel like that. Like, I feel like whenever Dr. Kelson's not in the film, all the other characters should be like, where's Dr. Kelson? Because like he is the soul of this film.
I love that you brought The Simpsons into this.
The funny thing about this scene, again, is that it's basically incomprehensible unless you've seen the last one, which I'm not saying that as a criticism, because there are plenty of sequels that only work on the basis that you've seen the original film. But if you were watching this having not seen the last film 28 years later, you would have no idea that Dr. Kelson knows Spike and that Spike knows Dr. Kelson. So, I mean, it's interesting to me just how unforgiving, I suppose, this film is in terms of catching the audience up to speed as to what's going on, because you need to have seen the previous one to understand what's going on. It's not the case that it helps, but like most sequels you think of, although as I say, there are examples where this is kind of the case, but for the most part, I think most sequels try to at least catch the audience up to speed if they haven't seen the original film.
But then the criticism is that they're stating the obvious,
Yeah.
That it's kind of giving ever since Mum died
Yeah.
vibe, So it's just interesting, that's for sure. Like a different way of doing it, where you trust your audience to, A, be smart enough to actually just be able to engage with this even if you don't know the full backstory.
Yeah.
And B, to maybe have seen the previous one, you know? And I think most of the viewers would have seen the previous 3.
You know what's really funny? This is entirely tangential to anything you've just said, but you mentioned that ever since Mum died thing. Completely coincidentally today, I Googled myself and I tried to figure out what Google's AI search knows about me, because I was like, tell me about this person. And one of the things it lists is that I'm the inventor of the ever since Mum died theory of movie exposition. I don't even think it's on Reddit. I don't think I posted on Reddit. I think it's just on this podcast that I've just talked about that.
That's pretty cool.
It's so weird. Like, why that I'm the inventor of the ever since Mum died theory.
You know what?
as if it's like a big theory in film discourse.
I bet there's gonna be one film student quoting
ever
Sam
since
Brown
Mum died
in his podcast.
That would be a essay. I wouldn't recommend doing that.
I'm sorry.
It's okay, Spike.
Spike was a weirdly inconsequential character in this film. Like, that really genuinely took me by surprise, because if you think about it, if you subtract Spike entirely from the film, the only thing that doesn't quite make sense would be Kelson's turn at the end. Like, that is literally the only thing he does in the film, is that he is kind of the foil to Kelson. Which, again, I feel like what I wanted to see was more of him, Dr. Kelson, that is, and less of any of the other characters. I did really like Sir Jimmy. I like that character and I like that villain.
Sir Jimmy.
That's what his name is, or Jimmy Crystal. I like that character a lot. It's just that I didn't really think that what he was doing was that interesting, or at least that the plot and the story surrounding him wasn't particularly interesting. But what was happening with Dr. Kelson was so fascinating.
I preferred that plot line as well. And there's only about 12 minutes left. And I am very curious to see what's happening with Samson.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's kind of been left open still, but maybe we'll see a bit.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of wondering if they're trying to set up for another movie. Is there another one coming?
Well, that was the intention. The film didn't do great at the box office, so it's a bit of an open question at the moment as to whether there will be another one. But their intention was to make 3 films.
Yeah.
Which I think is part of the reason that the last one, 28 years later, felt like it was setting up more than it was actually its own kind of film.
Dad, do we help them?
Of course we do.